One of the most important things that we've learned in our 42 years of ministry is the importance of a team. That you can't share a dream unless you're a team. That it really does take teamwork to share and accomplish the dreams that God has for us, both in ministry and in marriage. Two are definitely better than one. And that was one of the things that we learned early on when we first started.
One of your first messages.
Yeah, in 1988, when I started talking to pastors' wives, that was one of the very first things I shared. So just a few years into the church, we'd already figured out how important teams were.
Yeah, literally, the more effective you want to be is dependent upon how tight your team is. You exponentially increase your effectiveness. You can be effective by yourself, but you can be super effective. Yeah. And literally everything we've ever done together, we've done everything the team, even writing books, even writing messages, even everything we've done has been as a team.
You're actually telling them that I write your messages?
Yeah, I am.
Love it.
Yeah, actually, she gives me the illustrations. I write the outlines and she gives me the illustrations.
One of the key things that points up is that we are more effective when we're actually different. People think that a team is important if you actually think alike, but the opposite is true. I've discovered, you've discovered, we've discovered together that the greater your differences are, the more effective you're going to have as a team if you maximize each other's strengths and minimize each other's weaknesses, compensate for them. So you've compensated for a lot of mine.
and vice versa. But that's really good. But that took a while for us to understand because we are
It was not overnight.
Well, we're just so different.
Yeah.
And
really?
And so it took a while, I think, for us to appreciate and find kind of that sweet spot where both of our gifts and our differences were maximized instead of it being a detrimental thing.
And the difference is you can tolerate differences, you can appreciate differences, or you can actually value the differences and realize Kay has taught me more than anybody else in the world, and probably vice versa. I know that she saved me from so many embarrassments in life, so many bad decisions I could have made. Let's just talk about differences, because we are literally different in every cell of our body, and yet by using those differences, we've been effective as a team.
Yeah, I think we've actually ended up complementing each other rather than competing with each other. So
comparing.
Mm-hmm. So like I said in the very beginning, when he alluded to sermon preparation, we found that our differences made our own messages better. Yeah. Rick is organized and systematic, and when he approaches
step-by-step analytical.
Yeah, when he looks at a passage, man, he can pull out the key points in about 2 seconds flat. It drives me crazy because I'm poring over this passage and he comes up with it, 5 steps.
And yet how many times have I had an outline or a skeleton and I go, there's no meat here, and I come in and say, I need an illustration for this, I need a story for this, I need a metaphor for this, and even the different ways that we think in our brain makes both of our messages better.
Yeah, so he really helps me with organizing material, and I help him with illustrations and stories. I'm story-based, he's principle-based, but God has used that for us to be effective communicators.
Another difference would be even in how you relate to people. I'm the crowd person, you're the one-on-one person. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, you have this way of walking into a room and kind of like sucking the oxygen out of it. If there are 300 people in the room,
I will know every one of them by the end of the night.
Yes, he's not happy. He can't rest until he's actually walked around and shaken hands with, all 300, where for me, that is a nightmare. Give me the potted plant in the corner, 2 or 3 people. We share deeply about our lives and our faith and all that stuff. And man, that's a good party to me.
I'm 1 minute with 100 people.
Yeah.
And you're 1 hour with one person.
And it works. It works.
And actually, that's actually helped us a lot on the patio when people have a deeper need, because I try to touch as many people as possible, like a look, a word, a touch with a lot of people. But many people obviously need far more than a look, a word, and a touch. They need counsel. They need extended care. And on the patio, I would almost hand them off to you in many ways. It's kind of a...
Well, and we figured out, too, I observed this early on, that often Rick is in a hurry. He's only got a little time in between the services, and he's got this goal of, trying to touch as many people as he can. So as he's out on the patio, going really fast and, talking to people, there would be sometimes I would, coming along behind him, see that somebody was hurt. Somebody was kind of left dangling after they talked to him. It was like... and he didn't see it. He didn't even see that they needed something more. And so I could either go up to him and say, hey, honey, that person really needed something a little extra, and he could circle back around and give that attention, or, me or somebody else.
You'd catch stuff I would never catch.
And we would come back along and say, hey, I noticed maybe you had something else you wanted to say. I'd love to listen to what you want to say. So rather than it being something where we're different and it causes problems, as we work together and share our differences,
it becomes a strength.
Yeah, it's a strength. We're stronger together.
Well, I would challenge you, couples in ministry, that one of you is going to be, one's a big thinker and one's a detail person. Guess which one works here? Okay, I call her the minister of small things.
There is no detail too small for me. I love details. I want down to the, the 1 foot level, while Rick's still up here in the stratosphere around the 50,000. So when we started the church, he was very much thinking about how this church was going to reach the valley and what was the best way we could reach thousands of people. And I'm like, who's going to plug in the coffee pot the first Sunday? Who's going to take care of the children who show up in the childcare? So it's worked well.
Yeah,
most of the time.
In any organization, if you've got a big gear here, you need downsizing gears to get down to at the street level, everything that's working on. And so don't try to be each other. Don't try to copy each other. Don't try to imitate each other. Don't try to clone each other. Instead, complement each other. For an effective team to take place, you have to have two things. You have to have a common goal, which we had from the very start, and you have to have clear communication.
Something we've worked on.
That was not clear at the start, and it's a constant battle because when you're different,
you come from different perspectives. But that is actually a good thing. I've told people that when two people agree on everything, one of them isn't necessary. When you eat with a knife and a fork. You don't eat with two knives.
We haven't figured out which one of us is the knife and which one is the fork.
No, we haven't done that.
I guess it doesn't matter,
but
two people together with a common goal but not communicating, that's not a team.
No.
And two people...
That's a recipe for frustration, actually.
That is. And two people who are communicating but don't have a goal, they're not a team either.
Well, one of the things we also learned that it made me think of when you just said that is... for me, because we're so different, it always has felt, particularly in our marriage, more so than ministry, but sometimes even in ministry, was that one of us was right and one of us was wrong.
Yeah.
And I frequently felt that I was right and he was wrong. And it was revolutionary for me to understand that we could both be right in a situation. We just saw it differently. Yeah, and I know that sounds so simple, but that changes things when we put that into practice, both in our marriage and in our ministry.
No, and value those differences. Difference does not mean demonic. It does not mean
bad. It means just.
Are you sure?
I am certainly bad. I'm sure sometimes you thought I was the devil.
He's the devil.
Well, I will say this: work on being a team, because it doesn't come automatically.
Right.
We have worked hard.
Yeah.
A lot of sweat and tears and blood, and
you wouldn't want to break in anybody new, and I wouldn't either.
After 42 years of marriage, because we worked hard to get where we are. And I want to say that without you, there would be no Saddleback Church. There'd be no purpose-driven life. No AIDS ministry, no orphan care ministry, no mental health ministry, no movement. All of these things are because you stayed with me.
It's because we need each other.
Yeah,
we have needed each other every day of these 42 years of marriage, and we've needed each other every one of these years of ministry, and we're going to need each other for the rest of our lives. You need a team to fulfill a dream.
Amen.